All right, this is take two. Okay, better. Now we just have to wait for Roman. Hey,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Roman?
Yeah, sound like the meeting ran over.
That's okay. That's okay, man. Thank you. I'm just going to be live streaming right into this. So, yeah, thanks for connecting with me on Twitter. And I wanted to reach out to agent builders who are doing interesting stuff. And I found you and what you were doing with TikTok. Now, we've been going back and forth on trying to make a time work, and we're going to squeeze this in now. So, what I'd like to do is just give a high level agenda on what we're doing, and then get you to share some of the trends you're seeing, maybe demo some of the stuff you're working on, and let everybody know about you. So, if that's cool with you, I'll give a little bit of an intro and then turn it over to you. Is that cool?
Yeah, sure, sounds good.
Yeah. So, and I'm not sure if everybody's going to see you full screen or not. I have the option switch to. Um, Let me just double check here if I can switch this. Change layout to spotlight. Okay, let's see if that works. Whatever, it doesn't, but that's okay. The point is to see you and what you're going to share. So, a bit of the background on me. I'm Ian Pilon, and I am running a local group called AI Agents Waterloo. So we had our kickoff event here last Saturday, and this podcast is about a global view. So I'm going to be running events locally here out of Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, and I also want to have a global representation of people that are bringing in new ideas, building stuff to join our virtual events. So we'll be doing a hackathon in January. I'll share more about that. So I'm going to be talking to a lot of interesting people who are building with agents real time right now, and then promote the hackathon that's coming up. So that's a little bit about me. I've also wrote a book on contextual intelligence, which is related to what I believe building the future of applications with agents is understanding all the context around us, and in the things we're trying to do. The more context we have, the better we can build workflows and agents. So enough about me. Roman, why don't you give the audience a bit of an intro about who you are, so we can know more about you?
Sure, no, it sounds really interesting. It was kind of misleading at first because I saw what AI Agents Waterloo, and I was thinking, okay, I could go there in London, but it's in Canada, right?
It is, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. Yeah, well, I guess to kind of sum up my experience, um, I started off doing a lot of, I guess, like meme pages and like YouTube when I was younger, and then
Okay.
I sort of fell into doing a record label. So I co-founded a label while in university. From that, I guess I got really into like AI tooling, like very very early AI tooling, where it's more about sort of I don't know if it was like LLM based. It was more like predictions. It was more to do with like art and kind of laying PNGs over people for like music videos, and then yeah, from there, I guess I got really into AI. So using GPT, I think it was three to do like wacky AI podcasts. If you saw some of those weird AI podcasts with like Elon Musk and like Socrates,
Yeah.
there's some from me. And then yeah, like I think I got really into growth and AI agents at the same time because as I was posting it, it was doing quite well on TikTok. And then from there, yeah, I kept experimenting with things, kept doing different stuff. I joined a few different startups, doing freelance, doing a lot of my own experiments in my own time. And then more recently, I'm on the founding team of an AI research startup. So we're working on multi-agent systems. So some of you might know the framework that comes from it called Camel. It was actually the earliest multi-agent system framework. And then from that, we're building agent on top, which is doing commercial products using Camel around data generation.
Okay.
and some other stuff about customer service.
That's great. Awesome. And just to go back a little bit further to the music, because I was in it myself, what type of record label or what type of music were you into?
The thing is, I was more into the marketing and the business. I don't
Uh-huh.
actually like the music.
Okay.
I don't mind the music. Like the things I used to produce, but it wasn't the style of music for the record label. It's more like EDM-y, housey stuff for the
Cool.
label.
Cool.
Yeah, but I think what we did well was we did really immersive events. So we did like a lot of yeah, like the branding, because like, I'm a really big branding guy. So it's
Okay.
like you walk into the event and it'd be all on brand. So it'd be like you'd be inside a jungle, be the same as the poster, the same as the social media. But yeah,
Nice. 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 Me and my brother ran a radio station here playing drum and bass. So, but I'm also huge on brand or even just the experience around um, in-person experiences. So that's really cool. Just to get a little bit more context about who you are. So, and then you're in, where are you in England? In London?
I'm in London.
All right, cool.
Yeah. I do. To be fair, it was drum and bass. For some reason I just thought drum and bass wasn't as big. Yeah, elsewhere. So yeah, I said EDM.
It got big here because there was a DJ in Toronto who had a brother in the UK. So when the UK started blowing up with the OGs, they would share those records across to a Toronto DJ who would play that, and we had a bunch of raves here. So there was a really tight connection between the UK and Toronto on the jungle scene before it started getting called drum and bass way back in the '90s. So I love the connection to the UK. All right, cool. So let's dive into a little bit more on the agent stuff because you mentioned where you first sort of discovered it. Can you just walk a little bit more through what that was like? How did it come into your consciousness? Was this through Twitter, or what happened that you started to see this trend with LLMs and then realizing agents are a thing? How did that all come about?
Well, I think I was quite early. Well, I guess not early in the sense of there's loads of people obviously doing a lot of AI stuff before me, but I think with these sort of big LLM trends. So I started off for a crypto project or like a side project for university. I was using chatbots, so I wanted to build um, a decentralized kind of game where you play the game and then the AI figures out which personality type you are. So it was kind of before. I don't know if it was before, it definitely before ChatGPT. It's before the interface or anything like that. And I guess from that, when GPT-3 came out, and you've got that, even though it's not chat, it just carries on the text of what you got. I was thinking this is amazing. You know, it's like all the different use cases. I think for like a couple months, I was like, why is no one else speaking about this?
Yeah, yeah. So you were really early when you say you're talking about ChatGPT or GPT-3. Okay, and then crypto. So you've got your fingers into that as well. So do I. That's why I'm wearing the Ada hat representing Cardano. So, and we see a lot of things now converging where these two technologies are like peanut butter and jelly. It's kind of like decentralized technology or distributed ledgers or crypto with AI seems to be a thing that's just going to be naturally fitting together. That's why I'm going to be running a payments hackathon in January. But how do you see them coming together, or what do you think makes them special when you combine decentralized systems with AI, or do you think about that at all?
I think the thing is that I'm not like I was kind of into crypto for a little bit, but like I'm not an expert on crypto, but I do think it's interesting. I saw one talk on it, and it's I might be saying this wrong, but it's like AI is kind of infinite. So it's like you can generate a infinite amount of things with like AI, but it's like blockchain is not like that. It's very finite. So it kind of seems like there's like a very good workflow for there to kind of define, okay, what's real or what's
Uh-huh.
or like put it within limits. If you kind of get what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. Or even what's real is a big topic when you think about deep fakes, right? So one of the things that blockchains can do, yeah, is authenticate or sort of try to bring a sense to what is true or false. So okay, very cool. Just I only asked because I'm in that space myself, and I'm very excited about trying to get towards simplifying entrepreneurs' ability to start to play with new ways of generating income. And I just see a natural fit for that with, um, you know, using new forms of finance and just sort of experimenting. And you mentioned that a couple times, experimenting. So have you always been like that, even whether it's with brand or anything else? Have you always been somebody who's experimenting, or how does that wrap around your story?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think I've always been very I like to adopt things very early. I guess like and again like with AI, I wasn't the earliest, but I think I'm with crypto again. I wasn't the earliest, but I think I'm right there before it becomes like I'm like just at the cusp of like, okay, it's people have been there for a while. It's right to get big. Same for crypto, for like TikTok, for other things. But yeah, I think there's when new things come in, I think a lot of people kind of wary. Like when TikTok came in, I think they think it's for kids. It's something
Uh-huh.
like that. But then you see the exposure and like you see how fast people are growing on a TikTok, and it's kind of like okay, now everyone's on TikTok. So I think it's important to sort of take risks and embrace it because the worst that's going to happen is you're just going to waste a little bit of time trying something new.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so true. And I started hearing that from Gary Vaynerchuk a long time ago. And I was actually debating on doing this live stream on TikTok so I could just get exposure to it. But it needed 1,000 followers before you could even go live. So that's something that I'm going to strategize on getting into after. But right away, I'm like, okay, well, at least on YouTube, I can just stream this and then pump the link out towards our socials. So we'll get to how people can find you after, and then I'll add it to the show notes here. But I think one of the other things I've been thinking about is that running this live stream, I really didn't want to get into post production and try and like spend a lot of time editing everything. So I figured what I like to do naturally is I do customer discovery and customer research. So I'll just have conversations with people and learn about what they're seeing, what they're excited about, what they're working on, and then almost start to develop a community around the global sense, not the local AI agents thing, but at least in a global sense, who are the players that are actively super curious and just building stuff. So why don't we move in towards getting into what you caught me around, which is this TikTok thing, because I was like trying to reach you right away, and I was like, okay, cool, because I'm trying to like go explore that platform, and I still will, but maybe something like this stream as they accumulate, I can have agents sort of do the post production work, right? Where it's kind of like I'll just live stream, meet really cool people that are doing interesting things, and then set up agents later that can go back on these videos, scrape them, cut them, and then pump them out on TikTok. And tell me if I'm crazy, but this is what I was thinking. I was like, I don't have 1,000 followers there yet, but I do have a lot of content. And whether it's through my book or meeting people like you, I want to set up an agent flow so I can start pumping out the clips of this talk that's from YouTube, and then try to develop the 1,000 followers on TikTok to open up live streaming. Because I don't know the platform that well, but is that true? Like, do you have to have so many followers before you're allowed to live stream?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think you've got to have Windows PC as well. So I was trying to live stream on
What?
TikTok. Yeah, so you can't do it on unless you do it via mobile. So you need to get TikTok Studio.
Oh,
So that's what.
that's
Yeah,
like Twitter too. It was like I wanted to do it on my desktop because I got this rig set up here now, all this bloody gear, and it's like, yeah, no, my mobile is how I can do Twitter. So, anyways, I'll start with YouTube and I'll just roll with that. So, why don't we jump into sharing with me, yeah, what you started with, or what caught my attention, which was you're gifted in the branding side, and then you were playing with agents in TikTok. Tell me the story, and then maybe share that with the audience.
sure. Yeah, well, I guess to go back, my I guess my first AI startup was one that I founded, and it was doing like a multi-agent system for content creation. So
Okay.
I got very into exactly the idea you're talking about. It's like, okay, can you fully automate marketing? But I kind of feel like the more I sort of get into it, it's like you don't want to fully automate marketing. Or like maybe in like a few years where the video is like indistinguishable, but I don't think people want fully generated content. I don't think the platforms want fully generated.
Okay.
So it's like there's a few barriers in there. So I think one for the platforms, they're asking you, okay, was this generated by AI? Even if it's
Hmm.
just cut up by AI as well, they limit the growth of post if they're posted via the API. So there's like a few levels to this. Like even for like people as well, I don't think faceless content does as well. I think there's a few niches, like if you see like a niche where it's like fully educational or it's a bit like in your face, it's for like those Reddit sort of stories. But I think a lot of these things, I think sometimes people wouldn't want to see two AIs speaking to
True.
it, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Back to authenticity. If anything, yeah, I think AI pushes us to find ourselves and really display who we are, and then doing some stuff using AI, but not everything. Even when I wrote my book, as I mentioned, I do customer discovery and customer research for a living. So I just love doing it, and I went and interviewed 9 different people, but I'm not a book writer, so I'm just like, well, can I use the tool to help me turn those stories into a book? So I used AI, but just to stitch together the part where I'm not gifted, where I'm not a natural storyteller. So I had the ability to say, hey, I went and got all this content around 9 people, and I interviewed them. And even Amazon was asking me like, hey, when I wanted to publish the book, is anything AI generated? And I'm like, well, part of it is, but not the meat and potatoes of the good stuff, which is me talking to 9 people about context. So yeah, I definitely see that now around faceless things that I'm looking at on YouTube now. I'm like, is that AI generated? Because it feels less human. So um,
I think as well, there's something about it where it's like if something's created by AI, if I know it's created by AI, even though I'm in AI, I kind of devalue it. It's
mm,
like there's this. I guess it might be unrelated, but are you familiar with like Virgil Abloh? Um,
no,
he does this really good analogy. It's like if you get like a piece of trash, and you put it in a museum, because everything around the piece of trash is like all fancy. It's kind of like, okay, it kind of makes you think like, wow, what is that? And I think it's kind of same thing with like AI. Like if you have a human make a piece of art, you kind of look at it, and it's kind of like you have all that sort of imagery of someone spending time on it. You kind of look at it, you're like, wow, that's really impressive. But if like an AI does it,
yeah,
it's like, okay, I don't know how I feel about it.
yeah, 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 yeah. And it's definitely all happening in real time, right? Like this is all breakneck speed where things are changing. Um, cool, cool. Did you want to do the share on your TikTok video story, or did you want to do something else?
Yeah. So, by which kind of TikTok story would it
Well, let
be?
me actually see if I can screen share now. I had to do a reboot on this system. Yeah, it's not going to let me. Um, there was, but I'm looking at it on another screen here. It was from November 19th, because this is the one where I found you. And it was like building an agent that can analyze TikTok videos or any social media video. I'm using the Camel AI Org's video analysis cookbook. This is what I'm really interested in because um, it sounds like your agent is going through the videos and you can sort of choose what you want the agent to look for. Is that true? Or maybe help me understand that one a bit better.
Yeah, yeah. Like this is a really interesting agent. So basically, it can kind of understand any video. So what it does is it cuts up the individual frames of the video. So let's say 20 frames per second. It's a 10-second video. Takes a frame from each second, and then it uses a image model to kind of analyze what's happening. So it's kind of like with that, I can ask it to do some sort of analysis where I get data points from it. I'll say, okay, tell me what the person is in the video, if they're using this edit trick, if they're using that, or I could do something more general, like okay, I can analyze 1,000 videos, and I can say, okay, what's the story in this, or what's that? I just think there's a lot of different workflows, even though it is quite unstructured, but you can structure it if you've got a workflow around it.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. And do you want to walk us through? Do you have a way to demonstrate that or share anything about that with us?
Sure. Do I share the screen
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Just do a screen share and then you'll get full screen view.
Let me put in my API key quickly. Yeah.
And then while you're doing that, I'll just let the audience know that like this is kind of where I'm going with the network on Twitter, is finding people like Roman who are doing interesting things, and then I reach out to them and I say, "Hey, I'm running a podcast. You want to jump on the show and just have a conversation, and then learn and share that with other people in the community." So yeah, Roman, when you're ready, you can go ahead, do a screen share.
To be fair, I think I'll just do it without running it live, just because it'll
Yeah,
take a
you don't have to
while.
run it live, but yeah, just sort of give other people context of.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
sure.
you go.
So this isn't something that I fully built. So this is a component from the Camel framework, and then what I did is I just put it in front of a Apify scraper. So as you see here, so this is so I took from the Camel framework. So you put in your API key, you set the system message, and then you set the user message here. So I'll just upload a video into here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll say these are the frames I want to upload. Generate compelling description. Usually for my use cases, I do a lot of like big data analysis. So I'll upload 100 videos, and then I would look at, okay, was it faceless? Was it not? What style did they do? And I'd collect data points on these 100
Oh
videos,
wow.
and I'd link it to the views to be like, okay, the ones that are faceless are getting 20% less views. The ones that
Oh
are doing
wow.
this, yeah. Um, and then yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. The thing that I'd say I'd say go to Apify. It's really good for data scraping. So no matter if I'm trying to get TikTok, YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn's kind of harder, but I think you can do it. But yeah, I always go to Apify. And then this is something that this is kind of how I'm going to analyze it on like a bigger scale. So this was like a bigger workflow. So I used Google's 2 million context window. So I'm analyzing like, okay, I haven't added the video agent in this exact example, but I will. So it would analyze like 1,000 different videos, and then I'll put it into another agent, which goes, okay, it's going to sort them out into categories. So okay, these type of videos, these type of videos, these type of
Mm-hmm.
videos, and then I can get more data on that to be like, okay, those type of videos tend to do better. Those ones tend to do worse. And then I've got a third agent here
Mm-hmm.
that actually has a sort of knowledge base on why things work better. So like I can make this better, but for now I just uploaded some random video which like a breakdown on what works on YouTube Shorts. So then just to walk you through it. So this big one at the end will generate insights into each category. So yeah, so this is downloading the video. So I'm using the YouTube API key. I didn't scrape it because it's for a YouTube event, and I don't think they're too keen on scraping. But yeah, so as you see here, I'm using a few different techniques. So I'm using, for this, I'm using in-context learning. So this is really a technique for making it more structured. So because I want it to be, this is the one that categorizes it. I give like, okay, this is a bunch of inputs. This is how I want it to be output. And I give it two different examples of this. So it's like, okay, even if the inputs look like this, still output it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting it in the data sets. It would have some sort of list of data sets. Same as this, I'm using in-context learning and future prompting. And the same thing here. And
Oh
then at the end,
yeah.
I get some dashboard like this.
Sorry, Roman. Can you help the audience understand in context learning? What does that
Uh,
mean?
Sorry, maybe a better term. And again, I'm not like a traditional developer, so I might get the terms mixed up. But probably in context retrieval. So it's basically instead of RAG, you just put the information straight into the system prompt.
Oh,
Um, the
okay.
only thing I would say is I don't know if it's better at actually retrieving the information, because this was actually for a competition for
Oh,
Google. So I used it, but I think probably if you want it to be more efficient, I probably would go with RAG, but I'm not a RAG expert.
okay. Okay. Fair enough. That's cool. And then when you did this, how long did it take? Like, does it take a long time or?
With our coding tool, I think I could recreate this in like a weekend, I'd say, but I had to rebuild it twice, just because the model at the time wasn't integrated, but
Okay.
now it is. Maybe it could take me like a day, I think, or like less than that. Um, yeah, no, it really depends. I feel like because I never studied computer science, so I'm just self-taught from
Yeah,
YouTube. The
me too.
things that take me a while is probably like deployment, like things that take development, like developers like seconds. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, me too, me too. Um, so this is really cool. And then if you go back to the image where you showed there's agent, your first agent, and then there's the second agent.
for sure.
Um, I don't know if it was in the, yeah, right there. So because it sounds relatively straightforward, and then you look at this and you go, well, the complexity just grows really, really fast, although it's doing amazing things. When you're like, how are you testing that? Like when you first took a stab at this, like, did you hit a lot of roadblocks and then finally got it working, or what did that look like? Because I mean, when I've played around with this as well, I'm not a developer, so I've got to like go back and forth with Sonnet 3.5 quite a bit and get it to start working as the complexity grows. Do you start simple and then build the complexity in layers, or what does that look like from a workflow perspective?
Yeah. I think oh yeah, there's going to be plenty of like shouting back and forth at cursor, like make it work, make it work. I think in the end, I think it's just learning one skill at a time.
Yeah.
So I started off with make.com, and it's like, okay, like once you actually visualize it, like okay, all a lot of software is connecting different APIs together. So you kind of think of this, okay, like this YouTube API has this one job. How can I make it so this input comes in, that output comes out,
Uh,
this one job? And I think, well, once you kind of get that down, and then you learn how to build one agent. Yeah, so once you learn how to, okay, this comes in, I can change the system prompt, no other tools, just the system prompt, and that comes out. I think you can do a ton of workflows from there. I think once it gets a little bit more complex, and like when you start linking it to a dashboard,
yeah.
doing bases, you will have to sort of take small steps at a time. But I don't think it is as hard as people think.
Okay. Okay. And then, like, it's really cool. You've got this visual here that, for me, who's a non-developer, I can start to make sense of what you're doing in the code as you were showing below. And is this something you do with all agent flows now? Is you have a way to visualize this complexity the same way that you're showing us here, or do you have any other tools that you use to sort of sketch out your flows, thinking about the complexity scaling? Is there any way that you do that other than code to sort of understand the system?
I think as much as good AI tools are now, I think there's nothing faster than getting a pen and paper, or I've
Oh,
a whiteboard. So just scribble it down, like do it in like blocks. Like okay, this comes out, that does that. Then I'll yeah, like as you said, like I'm very visual as well. So it's like I think this is much easier to comprehend than a bunch of code.
yeah. And what is it about um, the whiteboard or pen and paper? Is that, did you use that in your marketing background or your branding background, and that's just natural for you, or?
I think it's good. It's good for explaining things. So I'm doing like YouTube videos on it as well. So it's like I read like animations. So it's like I'll make this, and then I'll be working with the editor. I'll be like, okay, actually, so once we go through the video, we start at this part, then we go to this part, we go to this part. Because I think a lot of my content and what I want to create for is like, yeah, just make things high production, easy to understand, but like powerful agents.
Very cool. Very cool. And then obviously you've got the camel workflow in there. Can you explain a little bit about that? Because I think you said in the beginning you're working with them, or what is that? What is the relationship with the Camel AI org? Is that allowing you to do multi-agent systems in a framework that you couldn't do otherwise, or what's going on there?
Yeah. So basically, Camel is a multi-agent system framework. So basically, I'm part of iGen, which is um, the AI research startup on top of Cat Camel that does the commercial projects. But Camel itself is completely open source. So it is, as you
Oh,
said, a multi-agent system framework where you can sort of mix and match and like play around with the features. Let me go to GitHub actually.
okay.
So, uh, I go to
Yeah,
repositories.
because the one about them that stood out to me was this idea of like simulating large social networks, and
Oh yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah, so I want to learn more about that maybe on another show, but you can okay, yeah, yeah. So that's allowing you to do orchestration with multi agents, or what does it enable you to do?
Uh, I've got I've got actually pretty easier. Instead of putting up the code, I've got some diagrams that probably be easier to explain.
Okay,
Uh,
sure.
but yeah. Basically, it's just a multi-agent system framework. So it is allowing me to kind of take their predefined components and mix them together. And this kind of presentation is a work in progress. And actually, I did skip this slide, but I think this again, like this looks really ugly. I'm going to polish it. But basically, I think the kind of idea around using multi-agents is like, okay, would you want a hospital run by just one doctor with the same skill set? No, you'd probably want hospital run with people with like diverse, intelligent, diverse background. I think that's the kind of same with agents. You kind of want a framework that allows you to have like a diversity of intelligence, and that's where I think Camel's really good. So and this is a really good book for anyone that's really interested in the sort of like philosophy around
Yeah,
agents, like
yeah.
the society of the mind. I think it's really interesting.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, it's kind of built off of that. So it's kind of what you do is you can customize agents. So once you customize a few agents, you make them diverse, you give them different skill sets, then you can sort of mix and match them in different structures, and then you sort of have them to practical applications. So like, yeah, I won't go over everything, but this is how you set up a agent. Then once you kind of set it up with all the features and the integrations, you can then like kind of put it in different structures. So you have a two agent system. You can have a workforce, which is what I have there, where they kind of work together on like a task. Or you have a workflow, and then yeah, and then you do like different things to kind of ingest it, like Appify, do different benchmark marking and stuff like that.
Super cool. It reminds me of so Robert Scoble was one of the people I interviewed in my book, and we talked about this idea of contextual committees, but it was more in line with sort of like why talk to one LLM or why get one answer from an AI when you can get multiple. And I think if I'm trying to draw the correlation with agents, it makes me think that agents are more of like the task based sort of like getting multiple agents to either look at something or respond differently, where we were thinking of them as just sort of like general response. Just if I wanted to have multiple perspectives, I'd have more diversity in thinking rather than just one answer. And I think what you're sharing with me here feels a little bit like one step beyond that, where a context committee might be a way to sort of like look at ideas differently, where an agent committee or a bunch of agents is really about you can get them to go do things, use tools, and it's beyond just an answer. It's right. It's like you can get these things to go to work. Um, yeah. So just spitballing here, speaking out loud, where I'm trying to think about the ways that I've thought about context committees is definitely a similar pattern with orchestrating multiple agents. So do you find any challenges when you go from? So I think you talked about earlier, where it's like once you get one, you get sort of the atomic unit or understanding of working with one agent. But when you jump to two or three multiple agents, did you find any difficulties with that sort of step? Or how did you manage that complexity? If or did you run into any problems, or is it just easy once you get one, you start to be able to orchestrate?
I think there's a big step up from one to two. Like if you're
Yeah,
really starting out beginner, because then it's not just it's not just one line of code.
yeah,
Um it's kind of more than that. So I think the biggest thing is just to sort of learn that kind of same thing I was saying before is like, okay, one input, one output. What does this agent do? And like once you can learn to connect one agent to two agents, I don't think it matters if you're connecting one agent to a million agents.
yeah.
It's just like yeah, it's the same thing.
All right, cool. Cool. All right, and you mentioned you're part of the research arm. You want to? I mean, you're free to share other things that you got going on. I was just curious about sort of where I learned about you and what and how that related to us meeting. So now that that is out of the way, thank you for sharing that with us, Ramon. Is there anything else you want to share about your research work, or anything else you want the world to know about, or where else do you want to pick up on sort of like what you can demo and share with the world?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not really part of the. I guess my role within the research is more communicating it and doing posts around it, and sort of, yeah. I guess a lot of the papers, I'll make videos about them. We'll do blog posts. We'll try and sort of, yeah, do other partnerships with it. And I think Camel's been good so far because we've done a few interesting ones. I guess I will showcase Oasis maybe another time, just because it is a little bit more complex. But I think that's what you was talking about before with the,
The simulating
yeah,
communities.
yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. Feel free to share whatever you want. Like that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess this is, it's you can scale up to like 1 million different agents, and this would be used to showcase or simulate a different environment. So right now we're doing it for X and Reddit, but I think there's a really big market for this, especially in business. If you can sort of simulate different kind of communities and different kind of social media, like I think if you can simulate a post before it goes live, I think that's definitely something I'm
Yeah,
very
this
interested in and I'm going to be doing.
okay, cool. Because I want to connect you with somebody I work with, Ben O'Hanlon, who is a major community advocate for the part of the Cardano blockchain ecosystem, and I think there could be ways to collaborate. So, and when you say you're doing something with X and Reddit, is that like a customer deal, or is this just simulating as building out proof of concepts?
Yeah, yeah. So this is more just simulating their spaces. We don't
Okay,
have
okay,
any affiliation. Um, yeah, I don't know how they feel about the whole data thing. So yeah, I
all
don't
right.
know. Yeah.
Cool, cool,
Um,
man. Um, all right. So, do you want to share anything else, or is there anything else that you're actively working on that you think?
yeah. Sorry, I was just getting out now. So yeah, I guess this is kind of yeah, I think at the moment, I don't know if this is the right segment, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work on doing all these contents into sort of like shorter YouTube videos.
Cool.
So I think that's kind of what I'm going to be working on. So for example, my last one with this window, I'm doing a YouTube video which kind of breaks that down. So my goal is to like bi-weekly to break down different concepts within like AI agents and growth. So a lot of these automations would be like, okay, exactly what you're saying, like how to simulate social media, how to do posting with agents, how to build
Yeah.
a dashboard, stuff like that.
Yeah. Which I wanna help promote you because I need to do that too. So I'll be learning from you in real time. And I think you mentioned wanting to even slice up this video and do some sharing on your side. So, um, how else can I help you or support you?
I think so far it's just really interesting. Like I guess we'll just carry on speaking. Like when I've got more to showcase to do Oasis, like maybe we could do a video
Okay.
together, or vice versa. And I guess we'll just keep in contact in that way.
All right, cool. And then yeah, we now have a fusion between networks where even though that you're across the pond, my global or the global sort of community is going to start to evolve going into 2025. And I think I can now say, yeah, I know Rahman, and if I know somebody else interested in sort of what you're focused on, I'm going to start pointing people to connecting with each other. So thank you so much for sharing your backstory with us, going over some of the current stuff that you're doing. Where else can people find you, or where would you like them to find you? So I can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm actually Omni Giorgio on everything. So right in the chat. So I think the main thing probably would be YouTube and X.
Okay, cool. I'll make sure that goes in there. All right, cool. I'll add that to the show notes. And then for everybody else that's going to potentially watch this after, I'm just going to plug the AI Agents Global live stream that's going to be trying to kick these off weekly. I'll be inviting a bunch of other people, and then from there, I'm going to be promoting the agent to agent payments hackathon that's happening in Waterloo, but it's going to be hybrid. There's lots of people that want to go in from around the world, so I don't want to limit that to be local. But that's going to be coming up, so I will share more of that with others and provide links as well to that, and as well how to follow me on Twitter. So I'll add all that to the show notes. So, but yeah, I just wanted to send a huge thank you out to Roman for joining us on the first call. This has been super, super cool. I'm excited about what you're working on, and I'll be excited to follow what you're doing next. So thank you, Roman, for jumping on our show. And is there anything else you want to add before you sign off?
No, well, thanks for having me. I'll look forward to participating in the hackathon if it's global.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah, it
cool.
is. Also, I'll send you
Yeah,
details on that.
sounds good. Thank
All
you
right,
again.
man. Cheers.
Okay.